economic footprints in the state, not the least of which is adding to our arts and cultural tourism and outdoorism. In fact, we have 2 World Heritage Sites. One is right here at Taos, Pueblo. The fact that this governor will not collaborate and doesn't believe in self-determination or the rights of the Native Americans in this state is a travesty. I think this is true. I'm repeating it, and you guys will have to figure out if it's not. That in Congress, they say that I'm the only Democrat in the history of Congress to debate on the Republican side for tribal sovereignty. I'm endorsed by 5 tribes because I know about tribal sovereignty, and I will continue to respect that. There's more than one governor in the state of New Mexico.
So it all comes down to sovereignty. These are sovereign nations and they need to be respected as that. I've got a plank on my platform on my website that how I'd like to approach the Native Americans, and that's by asking, can I come and meet with you? Because you need to be invited, it's sovereign. And then I would like to have what's the equivalent of a truth and reconciliation, where they actually speak to what has happened, and it's officially in the New Mexico government record because the governor is there. And then I can apologize, because until then, we're gonna suffer from karma. We're not the last in everything in this state because of no reason. We did it to others, now it's being done to us. Let's heal it, and then we can collaborate.
Historically, one thing we used to do in the legislature was invite the leaders of the tribal governments and the pueblos to come to Santa Fe one day and to speak to the legislature to address us. This governor changed that. She disinvited them from speaking. They were invited to come and attend to listen to her speak. Now that should tell you the attitude of this governor and why we've been adrift for 8 years and what we have to do to begin to rebuild that relationship with all of our brothers and sisters in New Mexico's native lands. A few months ago, I was back on the Rama Reservation, and I've worked with my colleagues in the legislature, and I'm pleased to see my colleague, Senate colleague, Howie Morales here today as well, too, because we have the benefit of years of that wonderful working relationship to know what's needed on our tribal lands, right? It's a sad, horrible thing to realize that people have to haul in their own water, that don't have drinking water and potable water in their areas, that people don't have broadband access. The bottom line is this. Just like many of us, these people want to be able to keep their families together, their ancestors together. They're unable to do so because we're not giving them the resources and the economic opportunities. We need to do that to allow them to stay together.
So New Mexico is an oil and gas state, but will you stand with water protectors and oppose pipelines on sovereign lands?
Absolutely. And in fact, what we need to do is we need to start cleaning up our waters. There are 3 companies in Albuquerque, actually, that can do it for us. And again, it's about investing back into New Mexico. It's about cleaning our water, protecting our water, and protecting our water rights, specifically right here in Taos. It's about water rights. And we need to start investing back into agriculture. We need to start investing back into opportunities where we can start growing hemp, hops, things that grow natural in New Mexico that use less water. And then we need to work with the federal government, because the federal government and some of our major labs have literally poisoned our water in our state. And we're not cleaning it up. And as your governor, I will lead. We need to protect, that's an asset of ours. So we need to protect that. But we need to start cleaning our water, and we need to start recirculating our water for our communities, for opportunities.
Absolutely. Yes, we will stand with water protectors and make sure that sovereign lands make those decisions and they get full cooperation and protection by the state of New Mexico. And it has to go beyond the state. We have to take that fight and have that courage and leadership, make sure federal government isn't encroaching on those issues in the very same way. Look, I'm leading the fight to clean up the jet fuel spill in Albuquerque. 15 years of zero action by anyone in that community or by Kirtland. So these aren't dangers that just occur in to indigenous people or on reservations. They happen to all of us. But we have to stand together as a state and make sure that clean air and clean water are the two standards that we're going to demand. And to do that most successfully, let's move to clean energy and make New Mexico the leading clean energy state in the country.
So yes, tribal land is sovereign. They make their decisions. This is the part where we disagree. I'm the only candidate who wants to ban fracking in our state. I can say this because I do not take any oil and gas money. The congresswoman, since this campaign started, has taken $15,000, 3 times what Steve Pierce has taken. Jeff, you've taken 1,000 or 2. This is why they can say, oh, let's recapture methane, or let's clean the water and mitigate the problem. But they're fracking on top of water tables. And 2 water tables in our country have already been destroyed. They're fracking down where we store nuclear energy, or nuclear waste in Carlsbad, which already has a huge sinkhole. I'm going to do like the governor of New York has done. Frack as much as you want, you just put up a bond big enough to cover destroying the water tables and our sacred lands and a nuclear cleanup. And that will stop the problems.
As I said earlier tonight, my colleagues in the Senate have asked me to be responsible for our conservation resources in the state of New Mexico. I chair the Conservation Committee. Water is our greatest treasure and our greatest value. And I got to tell you, that beautiful river that we raft here and enjoy and fish on travels all the way down to our farm in Doña Ana County, and our farm is right alongside the Rio Grande. And I want you to know that 8 or 9 months of that year, that river's dry, and it reminds me every day the importance of water and what we can lose if we don't protect it. Of course, the sovereign nations deserve the right to control their own water, and whether it's at Chaco or anyone else in our state, that respect will be given to the Native Americans as it should be. But more important, we need to be talking about the importance of water in our state as a long-term plan. We're in drought. The reality is that we're experiencing climate change that is compounding that problem. And as farmers in southern New Mexico, I'll tell you, we were the first farm in the entire state of New Mexico to do large-scale drip irrigation. We have to recognize that our laws in New Mexico discourage conservation. It's a use it or lose it state. We've got to change our laws, and you want somebody with experience who understands the complexity of water law to do that.
Follow-up question for Jeff, Michelle, and Joe. Where do you stand on fracking? Jeff first.
Look, bottom line is, oil and gas is 35% of our economy, right? And I'm not going to say anything. What we need to do is we need to work better with our oil and gas brothers and sisters and basically do it a better way. The number one issue with fracking is water. That's our number one issue. So what we need to do is we've talked to oil and gas. We will invest with them together. We will literally repurpose that water, right? And we need to invest. And the way I know you don't want to hear this, but the way we do that is we start investing together back into renewable energies. That's what we have to do. The number one investor in renewable energies in Texas is oil and gas. So folks, we have to create our economy. We have to expand our economy. We have to. Well, we're the first ones to say we would legalize.
From the crowd, please let the candidate answer.
We're not thinking for that. But folks, bottom line is 35% of our economy today is oil and gas. We have to diversify, and that's what we're talking about, investing in our state. We have to create jobs. We have to invest in small business. I agree with you. We have to move away from oil and gas, but we can't do it overnight. So we have to start investing back into ourselves to expand our economy so we're not dependent on oil and gas. That's what we're talking about.
Thank you. Representative.
Thank you. So I know that this isn't the answer that folks want either. I agree that overnight banning fracking doesn't get us to a clean energy economy, but I think that we have to make them accountable. The oil and gas industry has not been accountable in the Martinez administration. We don't want to expand it, and I disagree with Peter. Methane mitigation is real, and it's $200 million into the state's economy. You force that on the oil and gas. You make them accountable and pay for clean water and clean air. And let's do what Colorado did. We succeeded that effort. That governor, Hickenlooper, I will do exactly the same thing. You bring oil and gas and the environmentalists together in a room, and we demand clean air and clean water and move them away, which is why I'm the only candidate endorsed by the conservation voters of New Mexico, because that's a reasonable, accountable plan.
Back to me. So the interesting thing that we'll have to talk about in a later question is conservation voters has given me a 100% score on my voting record in the legislature. A lifetime score of 85% for conservation voters. And I'll tell you, one of the most important bills you're going to hear about, and you should be watching carefully in Santa Fe the next 2 weeks, is a bill that I've been working on the last week solidly to shut down the 2 remaining coal plants in the San Juan generating facility.
Yeah.
And the question there is, what are we going to get in return for that? What is PNM expecting in return for that? And I'll tell you, what is on the table in the negotiations that I am part of and leading is an acceleration of our renewable portfolio to 50% by 2040. A substantial increase and an agreement, and we can do better. I agree. New Mexico used to lead in renewable energy resources in the entire state, and we've fallen behind. Other states have been able to expand and grow faster than we have in New Mexico. So when we talk about the issue of fracking, it is important to recognize the nature of our economy here, dependent on oil and gas. We have to change that, and many of us in Santa Fe are working very hard to shut down coal and to begin making that transition to renewable energy. That's why my colleagues have asked me to head that effort in the New Mexico legislature and the Senate.
Thank you. So, candidates, what specifically will you do to increase renewable energy production and use in this state?
We have a plan to invest $1 billion into renewable energies. Folks, look, as your governor, we have to start. We sit in a state that's ranked second for renewable energy production, but we're ranked 48th in production. We need to invest $1 billion into renewable energies. I have talked to 3 companies, one in California, one literally in Texas. 2 years ago, a company came here and wanted to create a $1 billion investment solar field that our legislators killed down in Santa Teresa. $1 billion, not a dime of our own money. There's $1 trillion looking to invest into renewable energies. So as your governor, I'm not really cared about powering your house or your car or your building. That's going to happen naturally. That's already happening. We will invest into renewable energies, and we are going to power California, Arizona. Why? Because we can develop energy today at 4 cents a kilowatt and sell it to our other states at 11 to 18 cents a kilowatt. Folks, it's about creating new revenue streams, and that's how we get rid of fracking. We need to invest in other opportunities.
All right, so we know that all the candidates are interested in a clean energy economy. It's terrific for job growth. It moves us from fossil fuel independence. So let's make sure that we're 80% renewable, which we believe is doable by 2040, 50% as quickly as you can. To do that, here are the investments that you need. We have to finish the transmission lines, and we have to have broadband. If we don't have either of those 2 things, then we can't move that energy. Does everybody know that where all the major grids for the entire United States, my campaign teases me, come together? In Clovis, New Mexico, if there was ever a state that could move energy to all the states to meet their renewable portfolios, including California, it's New Mexico. We've got wind in Torrance. We've got wind coming to Clovis. We've got to finish the transmission lines. I'm committed to joining the regional transmission authorities so that you can actually get that work done, and I've embedded broadband money into the Farm Bill so that New Mexico has an investment immediately so that you can put the package together.
Thank you.
I'm the only candidate who has signed the New Energy Economy Pledge for 100% renewable energy. I am the only candidate who signed the Food and Water Watch Pledge to get off fossil fuels. I can do that because I do not take corporate polluter money. Now, it's nice to say we're going to get 50 or 80% renewable. California's already at 80%. Why are we dragging our feet? And Congresswoman, no disrespect, but I looked up on OpenSecrets.org, and the 5th largest contributor to your Congress career is PNM. Energy renewable companies, OpenSecrets.org, go look it up. Energy extraction companies have contributed $117,000. Of course we're going to have foot dragging and going slow because we can't do what's necessary. Get a state bank. Start to fund local community grids. You've got a local co-op here. You understand how good that is. Pass the CCA agreement so that cities and towns can say, you must provide this amount of renewable energy in your